there is this thought that the moment you get saved, everything changes. And it's just not the truth.
No, sin does not discriminate.
Sin don't stay where you put it.
Mm-mm.
Your vulnerability is going to help hundreds of thousands of people who have been sold the lie that silence is golden.
Silence steals from you. It steals, it kills, it destroys. It keeps you stuck in sin. It keeps you stuck in shame. And that's literally where I lived for decades. I mean, decades, majority of my life. And so I say that we have a lot more in common than you think because, hi, the little Christian girl that you're listening to right now, I struggled with a porn addiction for like well over a decade of my life.
Please don't push me.
Please don't push me, but y'all push B. Now we got dwellers from Cali to Flatbush B. Now they got heat on their feet that say press B. And now we so deep in the street, y'all can't stress me. Can't curse me, then bless me. I'm crucifying my flesh, that's less me. SAT from preaching, can't test me. Atheists are now believing, that bless me. Yeah, we got the basement replacing any of those worldly pursuits that y'all chasing, any of those trials and tests that y'all facing, any of the relationships that y'all changing. We rearranging, making the shame shift, giving Satan back what's his, that's the blame shift. Rise up and walk commands, that's the lame shift. Cheat codes for living this life, that's the game shift. All on Yeshua, man, the rest is manure, man. I'm dying daily, so I rise up a purer man. Pressing B daily, so my sins looking fewer, man. Washing the blood, so my sins down the sewer, man. Yeah, so press B with me, and let's let whatever gon' be just be. Yeah, so press B with me, and let's let whatever gon' be just be.
Welcome to the basement, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Tim Ross. I hope you're all doing well. I love you guys so much. Shout out to my B-siders. Thank you so much for downloading that B-side app. Thank you for coming to this safe place where vulnerability is our superpower, and we love this side, B-side, where we can be men, be women, be us. I just made that up. That just felt good. I just made that up. Anyway, listen, shout out to all my dwellers. Thank you for rocking with the basement. I love you guys so much. I am so excited. My friend's back. My homegirl's back. And didn't even know. Let me tell you how cool I am with this girl. I didn't even know she's never been in my house. So we just fixed that. So that's a check. That check is off. But when we first started the basement, back in those olden days, you know, just a mere 22 months ago.
The VCR days.
The VCR days, you know, so long ago that we were just wondering, will anybody even want to sit down and talk to us, right? We didn't even know that anybody would want to sit down and talk to us. And I think you filled out that Google form, didn't you?
No, Hector just was like, you got to get on his
what
pod.
it
And then I
was.
just showed up.
Yep, you just appeared.
Yeah.
And we had a great convo.
We had a great one.
It was absolutely amazing. A lot has happened since then.
I know.
And that's what that's what we're back to talk about.
I
And
know.
I'm so super excited about it.
I know, me too.
But for those that don't know, I don't know when you got on this train. If you got in a long time ago, back in those VHS days, then you know who Kirby Kelly is. If you did not get on the ride and the journey with us back then you're just being introduced to her. But this woman loves God. This woman is a nerd when it comes to the Bible, just like I am.
Yeah.
She is a speaker and a preacher of God's word. And now she's also an author. She's also married.
Yeah.
She's married to a great man who, you know, had to cross a border to get here and, you know, went through a lot of adversity, but he did it all for love.
Wow. The next Hallmark movie, right? Here.
The next Hallmark movie that I'm not going to watch.
Yeah, right. It's so real.
This Christmas. You know what I mean? The early Christmas present. It's always something like that. It's always
the Christmas
something.
magic wish
Yeah.
of old times past.
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
Christmasville, Christmastown.
It's Christmasville, Christmastown, and everyone's just too happy in that town.
Right. And it takes place in May, and they're like, but I will only believe in God if it snows.
Yes. And then it does.
Yeah.
And then one tear. It's like, he is real.
And then the whole town is saved.
Yep.
From something. Someone.
Oh my God.
They can hire us.
We just wrote the next movie and we should get paid for it.
TM.
Yeah, we should get paid for it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am introducing to some and reintroducing to others back on the couch in the basement. Kirby Kelly's in the building, everybody. Let's go.
Let's go.
You back like you never left, girl.
I know.
Yeah, I
I've
love
been
you.
here.
You
I know, I love
have
you
been
too.
here.
Well, not here. This is my first time here.
Yeah, here, but
here.
Here.
Yeah,
We've been here. We've been
I
here
know.
already. Yeah.
So much life has happened to both of us.
A lot has happened
I know.
since the
Good,
last
bad, and ugly.
time
And beautiful.
you were here.
I know.
Where do you even want to start?
Literally wherever.
Okay.
I don't even know.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm so grateful that you are enjoying this free content on YouTube.
If you want to be the first to access content like this and not have to wait a week or who knows how long before you can see this content, then you should subscribe to B-Side, where you will get the content immediately as soon as it drops and you won't have to wait at all.
The B-Side app is waiting for you to come home. Peace. All right, so the last time you were here, we had this great conversation just around the Bible.
Yeah.
And around
Knowing scripture.
knowing the book, and then also the passion that you have for the word and communicating it.
Yeah.
All of that. It was great.
Thank you.
And then we go out and we got to live all this out. Like for real. Like
Yeah.
we got to live it out. And the last 20 months has been a whole lot
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for people to understand. I have a friend that I'm trying to get this through to him, that life circumstances are the result of breathing air
Yeah.
and not some conspiracy by God
Against you.
to make meaning out of every situation that you go through. Like God's not tinkering like, I'm going to put you through this so that you can learn this. And then I'm going to put a booby trap here and then you're going to break your leg. But while you're still, you're going to know that I am God. And then you're going to find that verse that says, be still and know I am God.
Yeah.
Then
And it's like, that's why I broke my leg. It's like, no, I literally just, my foot just fell asleep and I snapped my foot in half. It's funny because that literally happened. So.
Right?
Yeah.
Wait, what literally happened?
Yeah. What was I even doing? I was working on something and my legs were crisscrossed and I was on a chair working. I'll show you the video. And because we have cameras set up in our house just for like security purposes.
Yeah.
And I got up to go get water and my foot was asleep and I put all my weight on my foot and you can hear it in the video. It goes like just snaps in half. So yeah, I broke my foot last year during the winter time, literally. And
Of
it's like,
all
that's
the
not a
examples
lesson.
I
I just
could-
broke my foot, literally. Literally.
Right? And it's not like God's like, make her foot go to sleep. That way she breaks her ankle and then I can teach her something about how profound I am. Like that would be, I wouldn't serve him. I legit would not serve God if that's what he was doing.
I was just resting.
Right.
I was playing The Sims on my computer.
Yep. And then
writing my book.
right, exactly.
That's it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be good for people to hear, just like an example like that. But like life happens and he's with us through it all.
Yeah.
Not like he's making this life happen and then watching how I'm gonna respond to it. Those are different things, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there are certain situations that we can walk in, and I mean, God being all-knowing and sovereign knows like what's going to happen.
Sure. Absolutely.
So it's like, yes, and I think that's also true where it's like life does just happen.
Yeah.
I mean, like life happens, death happens, struggle happens, you know, success happens. It all.
Yeah.
I think that's a good perspective. Like God is just with us through it all.
Yeah.
And it's not, I love that you bring up conspiracy because I think so many people are like, well, all these bad things are happening in my life, so God must be against me. When it's like, well, the world is broken and we also have a fleshly nature and we just live in a broken world in general where there's like so many components that add up to the brokenness that we experience as well.
Correct.
So it's like maybe God's not conspiring against you, but maybe when we call upon him, he can actually like bring something beautiful out of this situation or like perspective out of this situation.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my perspective. Mine is, and I'm a literalist. I read the Bible and it says, in this life you shall suffer persecution.
100%.
So like that's
Like,
number one.
Christian or not, you're going to go through suffering of some sort.
Absolutely. It rains on the just as well as the unjust, right?
Yeah.
So like it's like this thought that like if it's bad, God's not with me, and if it's good, God is with me. Well, then explain the success of Diddy.
Oop.
Does anybody think?
Not me.
Anybody think God's like, I've bestowed upon Diddy all of his lavish riches and lifestyle, and everything that he's being accused of now is a lie. It's the persecution. But you see, he's blessed, and this is persecution. No. Everybody that has good happening, everybody that's experiencing some good, what we call good, we call riches good, right? Because it equates to security.
I'm like literally, I'll go on my soapbox with this one of just
Please.
so much of us in like Western Christianity. It's like, well, if it isn't going good, then God's not good. Then I'm not blessed. Then God's not using me, yada, yada, yada. But it's like, okay, let's actually zoom out of the West and look at the rest of the world. Like I'm thinking of the Christians in China who are literally dying for their faith.
How about that?
Who are literally going through suffering, or other countries and nations where these Christians literally don't have access to all of the riches, if we want to use riches in that way, that America has or that we have.
Right.
And it's like, but we're saying that, well, we're not blessed or they're not blessed. It's like, well, if you're blessed, if you only have money, God only wants to use you if you have. It's like I could go on and on about how wrong that is when we actually like take off the Western goggles and we look at like Christianity throughout the whole world. And it's like, what is this actually about? Like, what are kingdom riches at the end of the day? Not what we are like toiling over and misstewarding and focusing on.
That's right.
That's not what ministry is about. That's not what Christianity is about. That's not what a relationship with God is based on. Like it's about faithfulness and obedience and endurance.
Yeah, absolutely
through the
correct.
suffering.
Absolutely. And that for some reason well, I already know what the reason is. At our base nature as humans, we want to seek pleasure and avoid pain.
Facts.
And I often lament that has become the narrative of Christianity on the weekends. You will receive pleasure. You will receive riches.
You will receive your blessing.
You will receive your
blessing is not a dollar sign.
It's not. It's just not. It's not a promotion. It's not a new house. It's not a new car. It's not a new spouse. Like the blessing is your soul
the
was
giver.
saved. Yeah, your blessing is your soul was saved.
Yeah.
Like the blessing is you're reconnected with God as Father. And
yes,
once you receive Jesus's peace, it's like, okay, whether I have a lot or a little,
I have
blessed.
everything.
I have everything. I'm content.
Yeah.
I'm blessed. All right, so starting from last winter, you snapped your foot.
Yeah, I did.
And then
And then, honestly, there's just been, I feel like last year as a whole, there's a lot that happened.
Yeah.
So the first, I think, big thing, even just backing up there, in May of last year, I actually graduated with my master's in theology. Thank you.
That's an accomplishment.
Yeah, a lot of hours.
Well, so clearly you are a nerdy Bible girl.
Yeah, I know. I love it.
It's one thing to say it. It's another thing to do it.
No, literally. Because tell
Yeah.
me why after I graduated, I looked at my husband and I was like, what if I just like re-enrolled and like got my doctorate? And he's like, you need to slow down. You need to slow down. And,
You still got your cap and gown on from the first, and you're like,
we're only taking the photos. Like,
That is
the
hilarious.
ceremony hasn't even begun yet. And I'm like, let's go.
you want to do you ready to run it back already?
Eventually.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
I want to be prayerful about like, well, where do I go? And
Yeah,
like,
for
what
sure.
do I want to get? Because the ongoing joke that we have is that when I get my doctorate and I'm Dr. Kelly, if I get invited to like speak at a church, they're going to go up to him and be like, oh, you must be Dr. Kelly. And he's going to be like, nah, that's my wife.
Yeah.
You picked me.
Yeah, that's gonna. That has a lot to say about the churches that would invite you and assume that it's a dude.
It's the joke. I don't think many churches, I think they would do their research and know that I'm a woman.
They better.
Could you imagine?
And they better fix their face when they find out
like,
that it's you and not him. Yeah. If they act shocked, then you could be like, you know what? I'll save my message for someone else.
I'm like, Richard, you go up. He's like, what?
That's gonna be a different message. That's gonna be a different message.
No, but yeah, I graduated and that was like super crazy.
Congratulations, though.
Thank you.
That's dope.
Well, and then the biggest tragedy happened like days after that with my mom passing away.
Yeah.
To rip the Band-Aid off for everybody listening and watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom passed away last year. It was crazy because I graduated on Friday, and then it was Saturday. Sunday was Mother's Day. And then I get the call the next morning saying, hey, are you the decision maker? And I was like, what? Only to find out that she's like in the ICU, on life support, pretty much brain dead at that point. Like none of her organs are working. They're all failing. And I'm like, what? Huh?
Yeah.
What just happened here? Like no idea that she just like, there was this decline that happened literally out of nowhere because it initially started where she fell and had to get hip surgery. And I guess the surgery was like botched or something. So they had to do it again because there was internal bleeding and it developed into septic and they didn't catch it, which I'm like, but that's for later. That's for another time. And yeah, and then they just called me when it was literally like the worst it could have been.
Yeah.
And then she passed away a few days later. And it was crazy, but at the same time, God gave me so much peace throughout that, which I don't think makes any sense because it's peace that surpasses all understanding, right?
For a reason.
I know that you know this too.
Yeah.
And it was just so interesting that even as I was like reaching out to people to pray and I was praying for my mom, you know, literally laying hands on her, praying for her to be healed and made well. And if she were to come out of this, to have a quality life coming out of this. But God just gave me so much peace. It was like every time I opened up to a scripture, it wasn't like, God is good, like life is amazing, resurrection. It was like mourning and lamenting and grieving. And so I think there was a grace in that of him just preparing my heart.
Yeah.
And then the morning that we, you know, helped her transition to be with the Lord, I read Psalm 121. And it talks about how in our coming and in our going, the Lord is our keeper. Yeah. And I just felt like that was kind of like, I needed to hear that from him. Like, and that was just like what I was reading in my Bible. Like I was just going by my little Bible plan that I was going by. And that's what I read that morning. And so like when she did pass away and, you know, I was there holding her hand and everything, there was just like a peace in it. As much as it was like super heartbreaking, there was peace in just knowing like, this is your will, God. So I can have peace and I can rest in that. And thank you, because sometimes people don't get that.
Yeah, for sure.
So I was very thankful for that. All the meanwhile, as I was graduating and grieving my mom, I was writing a book. So it was literally like a million things going on at once. So like the highest high of my life, you know, writing this and graduating school, and then boom, the lowest low. It was just really interesting navigating last year.
Yeah. I deeply resonate with that. Obviously, mine was in a reverse order. You know, you had your graduation, huge accomplishment, and then a few days later, your mom is dead. Yeah, you know, and for me, my dad died February 24th, which was already a bittersweet day because Juliana got married on that day.
I know.
And so like for me, it was like this beautiful tension. We always talk about tension here in the basement.
Yeah.
And it was this beautiful tension of celebrating her and lamenting my dad and having the capacity to do both.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't like her wedding doesn't exist because my dad is dying.
Yeah.
Or my dad doesn't exist because she's getting married. Like it's just like you're
like
holding.
I need to suppress all these things so I can be present for this.
No,
Yeah.
I can be present for both. Right?
Exactly.
And so, but 5 days later, I was on the road with a national book tour because that book, Welcome to the Basement, released on the 27th, 3 days after my dad died. And then 2 days after that, I was on the road. So it was like tension, right? You're just like, oh my goodness.
It's like I'm celebrating this really awesome thing that I've been praying for and working towards, but also it's like this also sucks. It's just this back and forth.
And it sucks deeply.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
The loss of a parent, my friend yesterday or 2 days ago, her dad just passed away, like suddenly, I think. And she messaged me like, I'm so sorry that I wasn't there for you because now I actually understand what like the loss of a parent feels like.
A good parent too.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like if some people might not have a good relationship with their parents.
But even in the complexities, because my mom and I love my mom. We had a complex relationship. I loved her, but she was also an alcoholic. So there was a lot of codependency in our relationship of me taking care of her and wanting her to be okay. So that's also why I think the Lord just graced me with like, this is her time. You don't need to put this on you, like trying to do everything to save her. Because my dad was also an addict. And when he died when I was a child, I put all the blame on me. I could have done something. I could have helped him. I could have saved him. I could have yada, yada, yada. And it's like, you're 10. You're literally a child. Like, what could you have done when he's in charge of his own life, when my mom's in charge of her own life?
That's right.
But even in the complexities, like whether you have a good relationship with someone or not, loss is loss, and you're going to grieve, and you're not going to realize
it's very true
just how deeply you feel in that.
That's a really good nuance. That's very, very true. Because a parent is a parent is a parent. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent.
Because you're not just grieving like them being gone, you're now grieving what you will never have. And even like in a complex relationship, you're already grieving things you don't have.
That's right.
So it just like deepens that
grief.
Grief.
It does. Yeah, because now the absence of like it is still weird for me to this day.
Yep.
That my dad is absent. Like his absence is a weird.
Like not getting that phone call like, why are you too busy to talk to me? And I'm like, because I'm literally living my life. And now I'm like, I wish that
I wish you'd bug me.
Right?
I wish you were alive to bug me, right? I wish you were alive to get on my nerves.
It's like, you know on the iPhone how you can pin people's conversations? It's like my mom is still pinned there because I'm just not ready.
Well, I pay my dad. I pay a lot of my parents' bills because God bless me, so they don't have to worry about that. But my mom told me like, hey, you can delete daddy's number and that way you don't have to pay for it.
It's too real.
Never.
Yeah.
Never. That phone will be on as long as I'm alive.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's just to let it go to voicemail and just hear his voice. Like, I'm not, hell no, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't do that. So, yeah, no, that's how did you navigate it?
By being honest in my grieving and in my lamenting, because it was there was so much that was happening at that period of time. Because it was like I graduated, I'm finishing the final draft of my book and doing everything that comes with that. My mom dies. Meanwhile, we're getting ready to move into a new place. And then it's like, oh, your mom was renting her house and her lease also ends this month. So you also need to go through literally everything that she owns. And I have an older brother who has autism. So trying to figure out like his living situation, what's going to go on with him. And then on top of that, it's like planning a funeral. I mean, I had family who stepped up in certain ways. Like my aunt helped me plan the funeral. She flew down and helped me to like go through my mom's stuff. But it was all so quick and just it literally had to be done.
Yeah.
So I felt like I was I was rushed in a lot of things where it was like, kind of like growing up, it's like, I have to get these things done because no one else is going to. Like, I have to do it. So we were able to figure everything out. And then I think after the funeral, that's when it kind of was like, now I feel like I have a chance to actually lament and grieve. And the book was sent in by that point, and my publishers were like, you take time. We're going to reach out to you if we like absolutely need to get a hold of you. But like, you do your own thing right now because you've done enough. Yeah. Which I'm so thankful for because I needed that. Yeah. But it was just spending time with people and going to counseling and crying.
Yeah, for sure.
Going through my mom's things helped a little bit, but our entire garage is just full of her stuff. And I still haven't brought myself to go through it all because it's just too hard.
Yeah. My mom is going through all my daddy's stuff right now and posting it. Just like she made a Facebook page that's just like for the family. My dad was Instagram before Instagram.
I love that.
My whole life is documented from a baby all the way up to adulthood with pictures.
That's literally my mom.
Yeah, yeah. We have albums that are just stacked high. Yep. So she's going through all of them and she's flinging out all these pictures and I'm like,
right? like the glory days. I'm like, I don't even remember these.
Yeah, no, for real. Like I'm seeing pictures of myself that I'm like,
I've never seen this.
I didn't even know there was a camera in my face that day, or around, you're not even consciously aware of it. So that makes sense. You're writing a book in the middle of all of that. Yeah. Where did that come from? Where did the thought for the book? Because it's a lot of people think they want to write something. Yeah. Until they have to do it.
Yeah. It's a lot of work.
Right? So what was the thought that led to you opening up a laptop, clickety-clacking words out, and it actually turns into a book?
Yeah.
Because that's a whole process. It's like having a baby.
No, legitimately.
It's legit, like from seed, conception, thought,
right,
to birth, fruition, book.
I know.
There's it's like a pregnancy.
I literally had no idea what I was getting into, but I had the best team navigating me through it all. So I'm thankful for that. Yep. That truly I can say that I had the best experience writing the book. Yeah. So I'm thankful for that. I think that was just a grace from God that I had the right people like linking up with me. Yeah. But the book, so I started writing it back in, I think it was like 2022. Okay. Something like that. But it was so interesting because when I first got into like social media and first got into ministry and everything, especially in college during my undergrad, I knew that I wanted to write a book. Like you said, everyone wants to write a book. And it was funny because I had different friends like in the influencer, like Christian influencer circles where it's like you build your platform, you start your podcast, and then you write your book, and then you do your thing. And it's like, Kirby, where's your book? Like that's the next thing. But for me, it was like, if I'm going to write a book, it has to be from the Lord. Because this is a legacy thing. Like my name is attached to every word that's written here. And I want to not just, with anything God calls me to do, I don't want to just like do it to do it because that's what everyone's doing. Like God has to be behind it or else it's not going to get done. For sure. At all. Yep. And so 2022 rolls around and I feel like the Lord is finally telling me like, you need to start writing. And it was just like this conviction in my spirit, like you need to start writing. You need to start writing. I didn't. I kind of just like sat there idle for a little bit and I was like, okay, like let me pray about it, even though I knew it was God telling me. Right. And then it was just like, I would go to conferences, I would go to events, I would just be hanging out and random people that I've never met before would just come up to me like one after the next. God's telling you need to start writing. It was like prophetic after prophetic, like word of knowledge after word of knowledge. You need to start writing. And then finally I went to, because I go to Gateway, I went to a women's night and it was like a prophetic night. And this one lady gets a prophetic word. Like the woman goes up to her and she's like, I have a word for you. And the Lord tells me this word is also for you. And I'm sitting there like, okay, like I'm not going to write anything. My pen and paper, they're closed. I'm like, okay. And the first thing this woman says is, you need to start writing. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, okay, I need to write this word down for me because clearly this is for me. And I felt like that was like the cherry on top moment where it's like, I actually need to do this. Like I need to be committed. And then a week or two later, I'm podcasting with one of my friends who was coming out with a book at that time. And we get done with the call and she's like, so when are you writing your book? And I'm like, it's so funny you say that because that's the question of the century right now, or the word of the century. She's like, let me introduce you to my literary agent and she will take care of the rest. So truthfully, every single door was opened for me. Like I got connected with the right people and then got connected with the right publisher who then connected me with the right, just everything.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that's how that came to be. But in terms of like the writing process and everything, I mean, like you said, I'm a nerd.
Yep.
I literally was getting my master's at that point. So like I was crushing out 20-page papers every other week for my classes.
Yeah.
But like I love that kind of stuff. I love writing. I love taking these big theological concepts and chewing them up so people can actually digest what's being said here.
Yeah.
And so when it came to writing, I just went on like multiple writing retreats and I would just brain dump everything. Spent a lot of time with the Lord in that. And it was literally like I just blinked my eyes and it was all just there, truthfully.
Wow.
And my editors were like, this is amazing. You actually wrote 15,000 words more than we need.
Wow.
So, yeah, I wrote like 75,000 words or something. Like I wrote a lot. But they're like, you need to make it a little shorter. I was like, okay.
That's better than having to add word count to it. That's crazy.
That just goes to show like, the
full.
Lord was in this.
That's right. You were full.
And it was so funny stepping into it because for anyone who wants to know, the book is called You Can Be Free. And it's about overcoming temptation, habitual sin, lies of the enemy, shame. It's like a practical and biblical battle plan to getting free in your life.
Yep.
And so like sitting down, I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to say. But just recounting like what God did in my life and what scripture says, it literally just wrote itself. It felt like. Yeah. But yeah. And here we are now. It comes out tomorrow based on when we're recording this.
That's what I'm talking about. All right. So I want to get into the specifics of the book.
Let's
because anything around freedom, anything around deliverance, anything around reformatting your brain for patterns and habits, it's a big deal for me because I had to do it, right? I'm like not only like a cheerleader for this. You're
a pioneer in this.
I'm a pioneer and I walked it out. I'm the client, right? Not only am I the president, I'm the client, right? So what was that journey like for you? Because everybody's journey is different.
Yeah.
And I just think it's good to hear the perspective of a person that's actually done the work because it helps to calibrate. It helps two things. It helps to confirm for others that they can do it too. Second, it helps to calibrate what they might have to go through to get there.
Definitely.
And this book sounds like a roadmap.
Exactly. It's listed out as a battle plan. So like at the end of every chapter, it's like, this is the battle plan step for this chapter. It's like practical biblical like building blocks. It's like, these are the necessary steps you have to take to get free.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk to us about that. You Can Be Free. It's the name of the book, but it's something that you lived out.
Yeah.